What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Civilization 5 National Ideas AI Only Battle. I hope you're enjoying it. It's going well. It's been exciting. Hopefully, we still got some more action to come as we continue. We'll get towards turn 350 today, and then we'll hopefully be able to open the info addicts. If not, that won't be so good. But hopefully, we'll get to open those, and we'll see who's winning. Or because it's been a while, right? I think it might have been 250 last time we looked, not 300. But it may have been 300. I can't remember now. Doesn't matter. It's been a few days anyway, which feels like a long time ago. I don't know what it is with these videos. I don't remember ever what happened in the previous one. It must be, I don't know. I think it's because it's all happening so quickly. You're not memorizing it. So for me, I just forget everything. So I know who's doing well. And that's about it. I can't remember who had the biggest army or the most science. It happens. Well, we probably can. I'm guessing Poland was winning both, but you know what I mean. I can't remember the exact specifics or when it was, but either way, we'll push on today. We should get to turn 350 within this episode. Hopefully we're crash free. That would be nice. Morocco pieces out with Portugal. I believe that leaves our only war as Scotland v Sweden at the moment. So hopefully we get some new ones in the coming turns. Keep things nice and interesting for us. We don't want to be, I'm sure you don't want to be listening to me waffling in this Christmas period too much. I'm sure you've all got better things to be doing than hearing me waffling on trying to fill the gap. So yeah, hopefully the AI will do that for us very soon, and I'm sure they will. They're rebuilding their armies. It's a good time. I would expect we'll get something sooner or later. Fingers crossed anyway. I'm not gonna hold out just in case. Don't want to get your hopes up. It could be it from now on. We could be left with nothing. But either way, Sweden not making much of an effort. There are some submarines here just plundering maybe some trade routes, killing a few units that are unfortunate enough to get caught out in the sea, although Scotland also has plenty of submarines as well over here in Austrian waters. Sweden does have plenty of units at home, but there's not really an easy way to get them to Scotland. I think on the basis that Scotland is defending, they will always have the advantage. It's because Sweden will have to send land units across the sea, and Scotland submarines. Just kill them. Scotland don't have to ever put units in the sea. They are. That's their mistake. But in theory, they could just put all their land units on the coast, just defend with their ships. They could even put submarines in the cities just to kill any units nearby. There's plenty of little sneaky tactics they can do to maximize the damage they put out and defend themselves. But at the same time, I think it is smart to try and fight Sweden over here instead of just outside your cities. Although there you go, 2 destroyers do arrive outside of Glasgow. Scotland will have to defend against those. These submarines here will have their work cut out for them, as Sweden is also pushed through with a few more submarines out of the Baltic Sea in towards the North Sea as Morocco joins the war with Scotland. Okay, not sure about that one, Morocco, but do what you want to do. You need to rebuild your units. That's what you need to do. You look very vulnerable. Even if you are one of the bigger civs left, you still look very vulnerable to an invasion. I wonder if France could maybe die again. Would Austria or Spain? I don't want to jinx it with Spain. They probably will fail again, but will Austria come and grab the rest of this? Obviously, if Spain could do it too, that would be great. But as I said, I picked them to win, so that they have got that handicap. They're not quite going to win. That was always a jinx. To be fair, they beat the curse, right? Normally, if I pick someone in one of these big games, they almost always die in the second episode. So they beat that curse. France is actually going after Portugal. If France kills Portugal, that would be the most unfortunate declared war of all time, I think. Egypt versus Scotland again. No, I'm sorry, Netherlands, but you're not going to get to France. As much as we love you, it's not going to happen. Here we go. And then Sweden's sort of moved across this way from all these units, not pushing towards Scotland. One of their destroyers also died, which is not what you want. But yeah, Scotland using their submarines, come in, sinking those boats, and this one's probably not going to get too far away either. If it can retreat to maybe here, then the other submarines may pick it off. But at least it could get near to the other submarines. We're just going to have a giant submarine battle here, which is pretty cool. We'll keep our eyes on that one. well, yeah, we're focused on this at the moment. There's nothing else actually going on. War-wise, I believe this is the only border war. I guess France and Portugal's kind of close. But that's it. Scotland v France. Okay, Scotland. Okay, be careful. I'll give you it. You can do this, but don't stretch yourself too thin. I mean, France is still actually bigger than Scotland. I think they just don't have a city like Edinburgh, which is obviously a really good city at 33 pop. But yeah, look, Orleans is the same size as Glasgow. York is a little bit bigger, but you know, I'd take 13, 12, and 10 over 115. And then 9, yeah, there's another 11 pop here. So France has a lot more. They're possibly going to kill off Portugal as well. So not sure about that, Scotland. Not sure that's the right idea, but you know, you get to choose. You're the AI. That's the point of the whole thing, really. You know, I'm not getting involved. It's up to the AI to choose. There are so many units out here, look, in the Atlantic, just doing random stuff. Fair enough. Austria's got this unit, just doing a bit of exploring. As is Egypt. Nope. No border between those two Papal States and France. Got a bit excited, but even the Papal States has rebuilt quite a few units at this point. Garamantes, they've rebuilt. You can see some more units around, some planes. Egypt is pretty much full of units as well to join Poland, Austria, and Assyria. So that's always good to know. Byzantium is still alive. I'm not going to go over there just because it'll probably crash. Sweden completes the Manhattan Project. Very late. I thought they would have been there earlier, but I guess, to be fair, 100 turns ago, I think Denmark was probably still around. And, yeah, Germany had most of Norway, so wouldn't put too much pressure on Sweden. They're still a relatively new big player in this game. Obviously, that doesn't help them out, my sympathy, but it's, you know, I'm going to let them off the hook. But yeah, in game terms, my sympathy does not help them at all. Scotland, yeah, they're under no real pressure from Sweden. France is sort of, it's nothing. You know, there's a bit of damage here, but that didn't really lead to anything. So hopefully, we do get something big in the next 2 turns. Come on, you know you want to AI. Give us something big. I'm thinking like Egypt and Poland v Austria and Assyria. That'd probably be the fairest possible mega war we could have. I think I can actually force them to do it. Sadly, it normally breaks, but I think I'll have a look in a second. I believe there is a declare war option. Normally they just peace out straight away because the AI doesn't want to be in the war, so they will revert back to doing whatever they were doing as soon as possible. When you sort of push them off their plan, but could, you know, I think they're too big, sadly, to do it, but it is doable earlier in the game. Edinburgh is actually starving. I don't know. It could be just Sweden simply by being in these tiles, but that does not seem super likely. But it is possible that it is Sweden doing that. Scotland kills off a few more of those, and here we go. Turn 349 then. Final turn before we have a look at the info addicts. We'll check the technology situation. We'll see as to whether we do the official shout outs and stuff. I haven't prepared them to be done this time around. I think we'll go on to 400. But yeah, Morocco. They do have good production, you can tell, and they're getting the units back. But compared to this is just obviously pretty scary. I actually didn't mention Spain amongst the other 4 that have all filled their borders with units. Of course, Austria's in there. That's terrifying. I don't want to look at Poland anymore because I know it will crash. But we know every tile they have is full. They're probably trying to get open borders with other people to start filling their land with stuff. Garamanti turn. Come on, someone give us a war. Milan v Papal States. That's one we've not had this whole time. Come on, you know you want to. No, Rome with double the tourism of the next best city. That is quite impressive. Morocco, though, has probably more, maybe more. Actually, no. Where are the most touristy regions? So we've got Rome the most by a long way. Asher, pretty popular in the Arabian Peninsula. Marrakesh, makes sense. Krakow, Thebes. Okay, so yeah, capitals essentially. Obviously, this Poland doesn't have Warsaw as its capital. Vienna, yep. So Rabat and Fez then for the Moroccan cities as well. I'm guessing sort of coastal resort kind of cities. Benevento, another sort of Naples area, papal state city, and then Milan is there. So 3 of the top cities in Italy, 3 of them in Morocco, with Marrakesh, was Rabat and Fez were the others. Rabat not quite on the coast, but it's got mountains. Maybe I was going to say skiing, but I feel like mountains in the Sahara Desert, as cold as it gets, maybe there wouldn't be snow. I don't know, maybe there would. Not a mountain expert. Probably not enough to ski, but there might be a bit of snow at the top. So not a ski resort, just a warm mountain. What were the other place? And the rest was just sort of capitals. I don't want to click on them, but Vienna, Krakow, Asher. That's to do with great works and wonders. But here we go. I'm going to go towards the safe place in the corner. Scroll through all these saves. Save. Okay, let's save the game. Let's zoom in on somewhere where there's nothing. And it worked. See, it worked. There you go. That is still Poland leading, but I believe that is Austria climbing on score. There was a big jump here, which I'm guessing was the French War, and then they've sort of kept going at the same pace. But here was where the gap was at its smallest for a long time, since Egypt was doing very well. Egypt has slowed down their rate, and I think this is Assyria. I would hope it's Assyria. Don't know what they'd be doing with their score if that is not them. So yeah, there you go. Poland, Austria, Assyria, Egypt. I believe that might be Spain in 5th place at the moment. Another red country here, I'm guessing to be Morocco. Yep. And then there's another red line and a dark blue line that is exactly equal, which I'm guessing is the Papal States then, which is a bit of a surprise, but fair enough. Yep, and I'm guessing Sweden's line kind of disappears underneath the Papal State line because they're equal at the moment. I won't go any lower because it's a bit of a mess. You can see Milan's green line, pretty vivid there. Obviously surviving here, you've got the Netherlands with this orange line. This grey line is, I think, no, this one might be Portugal. This is the Netherlands. I'm not sure whose this grey line is. Well, we may as well have a look while we're here. Portugal's that one. This is the Netherlands. This one, I'm not sure who that is. You see, I'm the one at the very bottom. Someone else died off here who was having a pretty bad game anyway. Not too sure who that was, but they weren't doing... Was that Carthage? No. Oh, this is Carthage. I don't know why their score has not... Their line hasn't stopped, because they are dead. But there you go. They must have a unit somewhere or whatever. You can see when someone completely dies, it stops like this one. Okay, so yeah, then you had Milan, and I think that's France, potentially, sort of, there's a blue line. Oh no, that would be Byzantium and Milan, I think. Then this one's France. Garamantes and Scotland here, and then yeah, then you have Sweden and the Papal States above it. That covers everyone, so that's perfect. But let's have a look at the World Factbook. Bit more interesting. Population then, Poland leading the way with 135 million now. Assyria in second at 79 million, 76 million then for Egypt. There's a big drop again to 41 million for Austria and Spain, neck and neck. Papal States then down at 29 million, Sweden with 26, Morocco 24, Scotland at 18, and the Garamantes, the final civ, with the double-digit millions with 11 million. I'll see 7 digits for the rest of them. Milan, France, both about 7. Netherlands with 2. Portugal actually now the small, not the smallest. Byzantium is by far the smallest there actually. Biggest crop yields then. Poland still leads the way ahead of Assyria. Austria in third, then it's Egypt, Spain, Sweden, Morocco, the Papal States, Garamantes, and France. Okay, here's a big one. Production. Austria has overtaken Poland. There you go. Some people were saying Austria were really backing them, and I wasn't sure. And I still think Poland probably has a much bigger army, but we'll find out obviously very soon. That's just my guess. I haven't even looked at Poland for a while. Production. Austria, though, does now lead the way by roughly 80 million tons. Then it's Poland. Then there's a bit of a drop off to Assyria, which may be a surprise. I thought Assyria would be nearer to Poland, or certainly nearer to Austria. So again, looks aren't everything. Egypt then in fourth. Then it drops down to Spain, Morocco, Sweden, the Papal States, France, and the Garamantes. Biggest economies, Poland still dominant in this category with a massive lead over Assyria. Then it's Austria, Spain, Egypt, all with over a billion, 2 billion for Poland. Papal States at 750 million, 620 million for Morocco, all the way down through Sweden, France, the Garamantes there. Land area, we're not going to use this for picking a winner this time, simply because there's civs on the mountain ranges get a bonus, and coastal civs also get a bonus. But Poland does have the most. Assyria, Morocco, Austria, Egypt, Spain, Sweden, Papal State, Garamantes, France. This is pretty much the same list. It's just the order that matters most of the time. Sorry, Scotland, you did sneak in once. Military manpower then, Poland, as I said, well out in front with 1.9 million soldiers. Assyria back in second, just under 1.4 million. Same goes for Egypt, actually. Those two are very much, there's about 1 unit in it between the two of them at the moment. Then there's a bit of a drop down to Austria and Spain, who have almost the exact same. Theirs is, the gap between them is 120, so that's probably 1 unit healing for 1 turn. It's probably the difference between the two of those. Sweden then a bit of a drop off, about not half but nearly half, at 730,000. Papal State 665,000. Morocco 584,000. Milan 537,000. 415,000 for the Garamantes. You got France at 406, Scotland 300, 210 for Byzantium, 197 for Portugal, 93,000 for the Netherlands, and Carthage apparently still alive somewhere, as we figured out before. Social policies, Austria leads the way with 30, 28 for Egypt and the Papal States, 27 for Poland and Assyria, 25 for France, 24 for Spain, 22 for Milan, Byzantium and Morocco, and the Garamantes. What have we got next? Where is it? Where have I gone? I've got lost. Social standing, happiness. Anyone on negative? Oh, yes, Morocco and France on negative happiness. I mean, you can't settle anymore at the moment, so it's not huge. I'm sorry, France isn't negative. I misread that. They're on 1. But Morocco's on -2. So, again, that just means, I mean, once they've sorted their ideology and integrated Portugal cities, probably they'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, it's not, it's -2%, so it's big, but it's not a disaster. I'm sure they will fix it very soon. Sometimes you see like -50, that's a concern. Technologies then, we'll go from the bottom because it is an important category. Netherlands on 50, Byzantium 60, so a big gap there. Then France on 64, Garamantes, Portugal, Sweden and Scotland on 65, 67 for Spain and the Papal States, and a bit of a jump to 71 for Morocco, Austria, Milan. Still going strong with the science. I'm glad that rationalism that they got early on has really come through, and obviously only having 2 cities. That's been a great combo for them. I know Babylon had it too, but they're dead, so you can't really compare. I was going to say we could compare them, but no, we can't. Babylon's been dead for a long time. Egypt is at 72, Poland is at 77, and Assyria over. Poland had like a 4-tech lead at one point. Assyria has overcome that. I would say that's down to having less cities. I don't know the exact numbers, but that might be to do with having less cities potentially. I don't know, or better science output. We'll find out very soon. Net gold, we'll just look at negatives. I mean, the Papal State are making it. We are starting to see some massive negative numbers as usual. This always happens, but again, the production outstrips the units being deleted from having 0 gold. So it doesn't really make much difference, and we don't want to penalise these civs, so we don't use it in the results. Austria though, -576 per turn, Poland -240. All 4 with the massive armies basically are negative, plus Morocco. The Netherlands also struggling. And again, we don't want to punish the civs that are making things interesting, so they won't be losing points to the Papal States here, I'm afraid. Also, I don't think there's even 10 with a positive income. No, I'm on the list, so that's not very fair. Cities then. Poland leads the way with 29. I thought they'd have a lot more than that. I mean, we saw Persia have like 101 in my last game. So Austria then with 24. Assyria 23. 19 for Morocco. 18 for Spain. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if 6 cities is enough for Assyria to get a lot of tech. It might be science output. Egypt 16, Sweden 15, France 8, Garamantes and Papal State with 7, then it's Scotland 3, Portugal and Milan with 2, and the Netherlands with 1. Science output then, Assyria is not above Poland, so those 6 cities must have made a huge difference, or maybe the change happened earlier. because Poland has had the same 29 cities for over 100 turns. Assyria probably had about 10 less 100 turns ago. So that maybe had an impact. But Poland definitely with the most science output, then Assyria. I guess there's also policy things that may have influenced that. Egypt then way off, almost 1,000 points off in third. Spain in fourth, Austria fifth, Morocco, Sweden, Papal States, Garamantes, and France fill out that list. Culture, Assyria leads Poland, then it's Austria, Egypt, the Papal States, Morocco, Spain, France, Sweden, and the Garamantes. This actually be closer, I think, the results than we think. Wonders, Austria leads the way, Egypt, Spain, Poland, Scotland, Papal States, Assyria, Sweden, Milan, and Morocco. There, in that order. Austria with 15, of course they took all of France's with Paris. Is there any, well, I'm just trying to see, are any of these like close to maybe could easily die and that throws a lot in the other direction? Probably not. Treasury, we don't really look at. Poland can have that massive negative economy with that much money. Austria is going to be at 0 next turn. Influentialness, we don't use this again, same with the faith ones, but there you go if you want to have a look. Total faith, again, Poland doesn't, they actually do have a religion, but not spending much of their faith. But normally you have some civs here who don't have a religion, and then they tried to get one, didn't, and then they just have a big stack up of faith. Influence, as we said, trade routes, Scotland and Egypt lead the way, of course. Petra, Colossus give them an extra one, but it's 8s mostly, a couple of 7s for the lower tech civs. And finally tourism, the Papal State, we did see Rome with a huge amount of tourism, as did Benevento leading the way. Then it's Assyria in second. They only have one city in that top 10 list. Then it's Morocco, Poland, Egypt, Austria, France, Spain, Milan, and the Garamantes. I think it's going to be really close to pick a winner. However, I am going to go to 400. People have asked or queried it a lot. I think there's a lot of new people watching this series as well. We're going to go to turn 400 this time. Oh no, I thought it broke. We'll go to 400 and do the results this time around, but I will remove the technologies category because by then a lot of them will have 80 and that's unfair to then pick between them. But yeah, there you go. Number of cities for religions. Buddhism from Spain is in 48. Byzantium's Eastern Orthodoxy in 38. 34 for Confucianism from Poland. 27 from Catholicism of the Papal State. Protestantism in 12. And it's not doing so well, but Islam there with 4 cities as well. So that'll be it for today's episode. Next one, we will just keep pushing on forward. And we'll do the results at 400. And as I said, we'll keep going beyond that for as long as it will possibly run without crashing or getting very, very slow. And nothing happening. Sort of a balance between the two. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.